Hello, everybody. I'm Nabgeta, and I'm with.
Elder Tenchi.
And today we're going to be talking about the movie The Wizard and how we would redo it slash update it for modern times. As you may or may not know, The Wizard. When did this movie come out? Did you remember?
I want to say 85, 80, probably like
Yeah,
85,
like
80.
somewhere in the mid '80s. Mid '80s. I would also say.
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie came out somewhere in the mid '80s, and what you call it? It was basically like a movie advertisement, kind of. It was kind of like a advertisement for Nintendo products, more precisely, the Nintendo World Championship and the Power Glove. Showcasing those both off in the movie because everything else was an assortment of games, and for me, it's old childhood game that I liked when I was a kid, and it has its flaws and it has its okay points and maybe some good points, but for the most part, what you got I mean, for the most part, it is what it is.
Warning. You have been suspended.
So,
Compliance with regulations.
so what would you change? I'll have you go first. What would you change about the game?
Well, let me just start off by saying I took it first time with my little cousins, and second time on Nickelodeon when they used to show movies in the middle of the day. And first thing I thought of was, wait a minute, that's the dude from Wonder Years, because I was a Wonder Years fan and a Boy Meets World fan, so I recognized the main character right away. I just thought it was interesting that Nintendo was all over this. You know what I'm saying? It was a video game movie without being a video game movie. You know what I'm saying?
I mean, for the most part, it's a video game movie.
But it's not based on a video game. It's just
no, but like it. Well, I mean, it's in its loose definition, it's a video game movie. It's not like the same way we would classify, but it's technically a video game movie. I mean, there's video games in the movie. They're pretty big focus throughout. I mean, you go from like this game to that game, but for the most part, you're not. It's never not had video games in it, you know.
Right. So before we did this video, and to prepare for it, I watched it again as an adult to see if I still enjoyed it. And for the most part, yeah, I did. But then looking at it,
well, any movie that you re-look at as an adult, you could to find the flaws more easier than when you were a kid. I mean, that's just the nature of things. So,
and I still enjoy it, yeah. But I ended up writing a laundry list of stuff I would probably, just like redo.
right?
Maybe just because it's modern day, but it's a little more.
Right.
You put it that way.
And for the most part, we have some very similar changes, but what you're gonna list off, and then I'm also gonna list in some my differences from yours. But for the most part, I'm gonna have you start off and list some things that you would change that you and I agree are the same changes.
All right. So first thing on my list that I would probably do if this was set in modern day, I would make the two main characters, Jimmy and his brother, foster kids.
Right, that's one thing we agreed on.
Yeah, the original movie brought us I think it would, they came. They were product of divorced parents, and one of them was traumatized. Um, then there was chasing. I think just to me, this would probably add.
Yeah,
some
there
more
was like
depth.
a weird like sort of bounty thing, which is why
Yeah, like a bounty.
we changed it to foster parents, making it foster parents that only
Instead of a
want
bounty hunter for kids.
to keep the kids for their own money purposes.
Mm-hmm. For their own self. And but the personalities of the kids I would keep the same. Like the older brother is still a smart aleck, still talking like he knows what he's talking about. Jimmy still shy, soft spoken. But because this is modern day, there's a reason for it, which they really didn't touch on in the original film, and I can understand why, because it was a different time. Not a lot was known, but he would be an autistic kid. So him playing video games and doing what he does, like the buildings he would make, he would erect in the original film, would be his coping mechanism. That was the way he would understand the world. Another, let's see, second point. They run away, obviously, because like me and Nab had mentioned before. The people that are taking care of them are only doing it for the money, and it's just they know this. They know that there's something better out there, so they run away. And let me see. Yeah, they run away, but they also have friends that live in different neighborhoods around town. So it's not like they don't know where they're going, and they end up staying with a friend secretly. That's a little bit of a cliche. I've seen that in movies before, but I think it would work for this retelling. You know what I mean? What you think, Nap?
Yeah, that's pretty much what some of the things that we agreed upon that are the same when we were doing this. That we had. That is one of our similar points. So let's see if we get into our different points. Like
Okay.
all right. So let's start. What would you say you would have him be going to, like for like a competition?
Something similar to the Nintendo championship that was in the that was highlighted in the movie before, but we do the updated version.
Oh, so the one that we did in 2015.
Right. And since they're foster kids, yes, they were still exposed to video games, but they were more the retro style games. Like they had a Super NES, they had a NES, they had a something like a N64, and that was just because their friends had it, and plus that was what the foster parents had because they had kids, so they kept their old video game systems for the kids to play with. They didn't think of getting the more up-to-date stuff because they're like, they're not going to be here for very long. I mean, so
Right.
Yeah, so you'll see
Or they didn't want to spend the
playing,
money on it because they're trying to be cheap.
they're looking out for themselves, not for the kids they're taking care of. So you would see them play games like Double Dragon, Mortal Kombat, Castlevania, stuff like that, and they're really good, at it. They discover the tournament through their friend that they take temporary refuge with. They're just watching stuff online, and that's how they find out about the next tournament. So their friend is like, man, you should go, you got skills, and if you win the cash prize, you won't have to worry about being in this situation anymore. So that's their goal. I'd probably keep the he needs to go to California for other reasons too. I'd probably keep that in. That to me was very heartfelt. But what do you think?
For me, since we're going with like the cheap, like the kind of like cheap route almost. For me, they didn't have console games. Like they would, like just similar to yours, they would go to like neighborhood kid's house or a friend's house nearby and play their games. And sometimes, being like certain areas, maybe or everyone's not gonna have like the latest and greatest or the most current game. So what he got attached to for was Street Fighter. Oh no, not Street Fighter, Tekken. Playing Tekken like on a PS3 or PS4 or something at a friend's house, because at the foster home they didn't have any video games. So when they would go, they would just continuously, like, hey, let's play some Tekken and whatnot. And then they find out watching like combos and other videos. They find out probably like through YouTube or whatnot. This fighting game convention called Evil Evolution Championship Series. And they try to go and compete in one of the Tekken tournaments that they're having at that convention. And that's, for me, that's how that starts off. Just having a love playing Tekken and taking that way into this fighting game convention, basically, and trying to win first prize for the Tekken tournament.
Right. So in Wizard, they're doing the pool shark hustle, but they're doing it with arcade cabinets with full-grown adults. I'd prefer it if it was a little bit of a mixed bag. Like you got some of the adults that are downtime from work, they're playing games, they get hustled by these kids, but you also have kids their age, playing, and they're losing like their allowance money or whatever to them, and that's how they get around. But one thing that didn't really occur to me while I was writing down my notes is how they met their partner in crime, that girl that helped them hustle their way to California. So you got anything for that?
Oh yeah, for in my scenario, at the very least, they basically she's basically like doing her own hustle, and they're doing their hustle, and they meet trying to basically hustle each other. She tries to convince them to play Street Fighter because that's her game, and they're not. Him being the way he is, he's stubborn. He wants to do Tekken instead, but they get friends because she basically figures out that they're doing the same thing. They're doing a hustle, and the younger one accidentally mentions about the tournament and cash prize, and that there's also one for Street Fighter. So that's how she gets interested in like going with them, because she wants to make more. She wants to make more money than what she's making now, and a big cash turnaround versus like the small change that she was getting by hustling people, beating them at Street Fighter. Sometimes people just want more, so that's her thing. That's her thing for going to the tournament. So that's for me. That's how that whole thing started.
I'd go with that idea. Eventually the foster parents would figure out that because they're neglectful, but they're not that stupid. They know that if they lose the kids, they lose their extra money. So they try to find some money quick to go and get them themselves, but they don't call the cops right away. One thing I didn't understand, and we mentioned this earlier, was the whole bounty hunter thing. I mean, you got the products of divorce, and they have an older brother. You got a father who's who's trying to with both his kids, but when he finds out that that his youngest kid ends up in a home, and they're trying to understand, they're trying to get him to emote, try to get him to care, they act like he doesn't care while the other one just storms off. I'm like, okay, so cares about his sons, all of them, regardless of the situation. So why in the world would you hire a bounty hunter when the father and the oldest son are looking for the kid themselves, and then they have this stupid fight, like over the it was the father and the son versus the bounty hunter. I would take that completely out of the equation and just have in this case, since they're foster kids, the ones that want to get them are the foster parents. They would be the ones looking for them the most. No cops would be called right away. It would just, it would just be them on their own bounty hunt. Excuse me. Right now.
All right. So you think it'd be the foster parents doing their own bounty hunt?
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, I can't see any other things as we're going with the whole foster parent scenario.
Right. I mean, eventually cops would catch wind of this, but not right away.
Okay, and you know how in the original he basically kind of like freaked out the whole power glove thing.
Oh yeah.
Well, how would you change that scene, like with the freak out?
Since we're doing modern day, I'd have him freak out over VR. Like they still would meet. It's like like word of mouth. He's a good, he's beating kids like left and right online. He's won like a couple tournaments himself, so he still has that reputation. But instead of having the power glove, he would have a VR system. And that would intimidate Jimmy. But in the original, I noticed that yes, but he didn't even use it. He just saw Lucas use it and then easily win at Ridge Racer. Then he left. Like that was it. We didn't even get to see the kid really try it out. So I would kind of change that, have him use a VR system, get intimidated by the controls of the VR system because it would be a very sensitive to motion control, and since he's too used to the regular control systems, he would get really intimidated and kind of frustrated. Then he would storm out. Any thoughts?
For me, since I'm going with the whole fighting game route, I would have him freak out because the kid is playing a fighting game he's never even heard of or even seen before, and that for me, I'm choosing to be Smash Brothers. Because even though the game's really simple on the surface, and the competitive scene, it's what you call it. There's a lot of maneuvers and tech that you can do that people picking up for the first time are not gonna be able to do or know right off the bat. So probably be intimidated at how simple it is compared to like Tekken, but like he's seeing this kid do moves that he's not able to keep up with, so that'd be more intimidating. And plus, you get to see him actually lose and freak out the game and play the game, and same thing what you're doing with the whole VR thing. you get to actually see him go through it, and instead of like just walking away like he does, because it really doesn't make any sense that he just walks away because he sees the kid using a power glove and get first place.
Right.
I mean, you could joke and say it's impossible. Power glove doesn't work. How'd you get first place?
I mean, the power glove did work.
Not really. It didn't work well, but we're not here talking about really like the workings of the power glove. So
yeah. So but for that racing game that they were playing, I mean, there was a time where I would have probably sold my left hand for a power glove just because it looked cool. But no, I don't think so. VR would make a little bit more sense, and plus we would actually see Jimmy try to play the game first, because I never understood, like, this movie is about video games. He doesn't really play that many.
I mean, he doesn't, but we see video games being played by other people throughout. I mean, he plays video games, other people play video games, so that's why I was considering it still a video game movie.
Yeah. I mean, his arc, Jimmy's arc was getting to California. His brother's arc was trying to help his brother and get closer to his brother. His father and his older brother trying to bond because they had issues with each other, trying to bond, and they end up bonding over video games and the search of their relative. And then you got the stepfather and the mom and all that stuff. But on top of that, you do have mentions of video games. You do have people playing video games, and you have famous Nintendo Power scenes. The hotlines. I thought that was hilarious. You know.
Weapon?
I would think, yeah. I thought that scene where they were right before they entered the tournament, which I'm probably gonna get to now. Right before they enter the tournament, they're trying to train. So they do this like little training montage with most of the games that they know might be on the thing. So they call the hotline, and then you got the guy researching Nintendo Power. I thought that was hilarious. Mostly because they're in dress shirts and uniforms, and they're reading Nintendo Power for work, so and helping people out. I thought that was hilarious.
For me, the whole training thing is still using like YouTube and websites to find out other like combos or moves that they can do with their preferred character of choice. Like I can see the kid using King from Tekken. And I don't know, probably her using like T-Hawk or something.
That would be interesting. I don't think I was ever that good with T-Hawk. I was decent with E Honda and Zangief, and occasionally, I got better with.
Or make her like a her main being Vega, because Vega's also in Street Fighter 5.
Yep. So. And Vega's cool.
Well, other than that, that's pretty much how. I mean, we got a lot of things the same, but that's pretty much how I would change some scenes and update the wizard. For,
yeah. Last thing I would do is once they actually get to the tournament, I would give it more than a few minutes to focus on the tournament because we already know what's going to happen with it. But I noticed that
for me, since we're going with the Foster family route, I would have it end because they're at this thing and they probably like, you know how your phone plays ads and whatnot. That's how their original family finds them, is they see them highlighted on this ad on their phone, probably watching it like on a subway or something, or like a bus or train.
It's brilliant, especially since you see ads everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I would try to put, like, once they actually get to the tournament, I would give them more time in the tournament. I timed this while watching the movie, and I noticed that 1 hour and 11 minutes in, and that's how long it takes to actually see them in the tournament. Next thing you know, it's over. They play the new game. They announce the winner and the runners up and all that. And that's it. That's it. And even the bounty hunter, while Jimmy wins, he's like, I know that kid. Yeah, you were just chasing him a few minutes ago. It's like, now you're all excited. You're watching the kid play a video game. Your entire agenda was to get the kid, get your money, and get away from the dad. Now you're all happy for the kid because he's winning at a tournament. I'm like, okay, nice switch around, but a little too late. So I would give the tournament a lot more screen time than it was originally given.
Yes, same here. Because to get more screen time for the tournament, for my version, I would see how the girl did with her tournament and how he did with his tournament.
Right. But I think overall we got a pretty decent structure if we were to rewrite this, or if somebody were to reboot it, because I think it would do well in modern day. I mean, we probably wouldn't see, we'd probably have to go with one company like they did before. It was mostly Nintendo, but who says we can't do that now with the stuff that we have, and we'd probably get a better story out of it.
No, maybe we don't have to go with one company. It could be any idea. It could be multiple games.
Right.
It doesn't have to be one game. I like both scenarios. Either choosing with the updated version of the Nintendo World Championship or on the fighting game thing that I did. Either or is a good choice.
Yeah.
At least, the only other thing you could probably maybe you could do like the other type of esports, like either like League of Legends, Dota 2, or CS:GO, because you could play those games on like on a decent laptop.
Yep. Right. Or say while all this is happening, since we do have esports now, what if one of the prizes besides contract?
What happened? Prizes.
What if? Since we have esports, why not have one of the prizes for this tournament be a contract with one of the teams, whoever is there? They're looking for some new players, some fresh blood, and they see the girl whose name escapes me right now, and one of the prizes ends up being a contract with one of the teams.
You do it a number of ways, but we kept the prize money thing to be more in line with the original. But yeah, you could change it from prize money to contract,
no.
or you could do both. Like they get prize money and then they get notice or whatever.
Money, they would get the prize money and the contract. It wouldn't just be prize money. It wouldn't just be either or. It would be both.
So
yeah, I think that would work. But hey, if you haven't seen The Wizard, I'd suggest if you're a video game fan, I'd suggest checking it out at least once. It is a fun movie to watch, even with all the quirks and stuff that wasn't explained. It's still fun. It's still fun to watch.
all right, yeah, I agree. If you want to watch the movie we just discussed, or if you want to rewatch it because you've seen it before a long time ago, yeah, go ahead.
Right. Go ahead and let us know how we did. Did you like this scenario? Did you like the changes we made, or did you not like the changes we made? Let us know.
All right, yeah. Well, as always, I'm Nabgeta,
And I'm Elder Tenchi.
and this has been Nabgeta's Game Pick, number 7 about the Wizard. Later, y'all.
Later.